Good everything.
Alright guys, we're back in SoloLearn HTML in the HTML5 section. Let's go ahead and dive into it here. So in HTML5 you want to use the doc type declaration HTML. The character encoding process is a little bit easier. By default is UTF-8. Just a lot of mumbo jumbo, don't worry about that. So first thing to do is declare that you're working in HTML, like so. So it looks like that there's some API stuff as well. Drag and drop, audio and video, history, geolocation, web messaging. Lots of new features in HTML5, which is cool. Image is not new. Image has already been there. So apparently we're only halfway through with how much stuff's in this course. And this is the last section. Talking about metadata, embed, interactive, heading, phrasing, flow, and sectioning. 7 new main content models. Cool. HTML5 content models are designed to make the markup structure more meaningful for both the browser and the web designer. How many content models does HTML5 offer? I believe it was 7, right? Metadata is the content that sets up presentation or behavior for the rest of these. These elements can be found in the head of the content. So, alright, so we have our script, our links, our meta, our title, base. Embed, you can embed audio, video, all that sort of stuff, interactive, headings. H group, I've never heard of H group. I'll have to look into that. Cool. So metadata goes in the head. Content models, flow content contains the majority of HTML elements that would be included in the normal flow of the document. Sectioning content defines the scope of headings, content, navigation, and footers. So now we have article, aside, nav, and section. These are new elements to kind of keep track of your stuff. So let's see here. Heading, sectioning. All right, cool. It was embed, right? Yeah, embed and phrasing. Which content contains almost all of the others? Maybe I didn't understand the question. Flow. There we go. Flow. Alright. The HTML5 page structure. So you have your header. Nav is where you put like your navigation for the site. In the past, I've used like a div and then just call it menu. So now this is how we're going to do this. You also have the article, which is the web page main content. Section, which is divided section of the main content, and then the footer. Cool. So these are all really nice things that contains the branding, like a logo, header. So this is a generic one. Obviously, you don't have to follow this, but this is a good thing to use moving forward. So it starts with the header, and then you have the nav, and then you have the article, and then you have a section, and then you have a footer. Header, nav, footer. So header. So in the past, we would define a header like this, exactly what I was talking about. Now you don't need to do that anymore. You have your header. The header element is supposed to be used inside the head, inside the body. I guess inside the body. There you go. And the footer element is usually the very bottom of the page. Social media icons, privacy policy, contact information, site map, all that sort of stuff. You would now use the footer element instead. All this is pretty intuitive as long as you know to use it. So the nav would be our menu, our navigation here, such as this. We use the nav. So rearrange sections to generate HTML page. Alright, so we have our head is still where all the documents go. Header. Then we have the nav. And then we have the footer, right? Let's say, I think the nav normally would. So you have your head, header, then nav, then footer? Is that right? Huh, I was thinking that the navigation would go above the header. But I guess it's all preference. article element. Self-contained independent piece of content that can be used and distributed separately from the rest of the page or site. Forum post, magazine, or newspaper, blog entry, comment, widget. So the article element replaces the div element that was widely used in HTML4 along with ID or class. When an article element is nested, the inner element represents an article related to the outer element. For example, the blog post comments can be article elements nested within the article representing the blog post. Alright. So instead of... so this is replacing the div. Not entirely. Still use div as much as you want. So section is a logical container of the page or article. So basically your articles have sections within them is what's going on. I believe that is true. No? Let me go back. It makes sense to separate syndicate comments and article element instead. So although that you can only be used inside an article element, it seems like that is what they are used for. So that was where my mistake went. Aside is a secondary or tangential content which could be considered separate from but indirectly related to the main content. This type of content is often represented in a sidebar. So aside is kind of like the sidebar, I guess. When an aside tag is used outside of an article tag, its content should be related to the surrounding area. Okay? Secondary content. The audio element. So in HTML5, there's no standard for playing audio files on the web page. The HTML5 audio element specifies a standard for embedding audio on a web page. So you can do audio and then src, and then if you add controls, it'll allow you to play it. And then this content right here, it looks like if it fails, we'll display that. The second way is to use source element inside the audio element and just to do it like this. So you can do it a couple different ways, right? So basically you can do multiple sources, except it'll do whichever one works best. So alright, we have our audio tag, and then we need to say the source of the audio. Cool. You add controls to it as well. See how we have controls. The text in between the audio tags is for supporting multiple audio types. For not supported browsers. Excuse me. You can put multiple audio types in there. When the attribute is defined, audio starts playing as soon as it is ready without asking for a visitor's permission. So you can autoplay music or something like that. You can autoplay and loop it, so you really can get annoying. Flashback to those old Flash sites. Repeat SRC controls autoplay. So I don't think repeat was there. It's the loop, yeah. So repeat doesn't exist. Nice. The video element. Whew. There's a lot going on in here. So videos, I imagine, will work somewhat similar to audio. So you have your video, you're applying controls, you're setting the source, you're also setting another source element here, and then you have the text if all of these fail. Same thing with autoplay and loop. Rearrange the code, so we want everything to work. We have video with controls. That should be good. I want to play the MP4 first, so we have that first as well. Cool. The progress element. Holy shit! I didn't know about this. The progress element provides the ability to create progress bars on the web. The progress element is going to use headings, paragraphs, or anywhere else in the body. Specifies how much of a task has been completed. Max specifies how much of the work and task requires in total. Say progress, status. This is cool. I didn't know this. So you define the progress bar, and then oops, sorry, I forgot what was next. Value. Okay, so you create the progress bar. You set the min value for it to start off at, and you set the value to. So this looks like it will set it to 63. at this time. Web storage API. In HTML5 web storage, websites can store data on the user's local computer. Before HTML, you had to use JavaScript cookies. Advantage of doing this is it's more secure, faster, stores a larger amount of data, and stored data is not sent with every server request. It's stored in cookies. And you have session storage and local storage when talking about web storage. Local versus session. Session storage is destroyed once the user closes the web browser. Local storage stores data with no expiration date. This right here is important if you're going to try to use this, is you need to be familiar with basic JavaScript in order to understand and use this API. So you have session storage and local storage. Working with values. The syntax for web storage for both local and session storage is very simpler and similar. What's going on my phone? Local storage, you can set the storing of values. So you set the item, and then you get the item, and then you remove the item, and then you clear the item, removing all values. So set. So basically, you're setting a variable. It's a key value pair, right? So you're setting a variable locally. The key one has this value. When you want that value, you're going to go get it. And when you want to remove that value, you're going to use it as well. And then this will remove all the values. Fill the blanks. So first we studied the value, right? So fill in the blanks to clear all the values stored in local storage and store A using key B. So local storage dot. So we want to clear first, and then we want to set A. So set it B to A. There we go. Geolocation. So you can now use geolocation in HTML5, which is nice. Something that we've done in Free Code Camp's Open Weather API. So with geolocation API, you can get the user location. Navigator.geolocation.get current position. Keep in mind in Chrome, since Chrome 50, this will be disabled if a site does not have HTTPS credentials for their site. What's the mandatory parameter? Location, presenting data. So this is an example of how you might get back the data. You would get the geodetic and civic. Geodetic, I guess, is longitude and latitude. Civic is easier to read for the average person. All right. Drag and drop API. The drag and drop feature lets you drag an object and lets you grab an object and drag it to a different location. To make an element draggable, just set draggable attribute to true. That's so cool that this is so easy. I thought this was going to be much harder. So you see a lot going on here right now. They have some JavaScript. Oh, apparently this is much harder, but because they're jumping into the JavaScript aspect. So this may be something that's a little you may not necessarily be ready to jump into this if you're just starting with HTML. Yeah, same thing here. Cool. How many times can HTML5 elements be fired? Multiple, I would imagine. Cool. SVG. So scalable vector graphics. So basically this is just an image that can be scaled to an infinite size without changing. Like, it doesn't matter. It's a type of file format for images where you can scale an image to anything that you want and you won't lose any quality because of the way that it's designed. So you have to basically just use .svg. So we have an image, and it's my SVG, scalable vector graphic, and to draw shapes, I gotta see this. I don't know what they're talking about. So let's go ahead and run this. So, oh, so you can draw, you can straight up draw a shape with a circle here using a circle. Okay, that's pretty cool. But you have to define the SVG container, it would seem, with a height and a width. That makes sense. So CX, CY, the radius, if you want to fill it, and if you want to add an outline of the circle. Cool. So we define our circle. We have our CX, we have our CI, we have our radius, and then we have our, was it color? No, it was fill. And then we want to close our SVG. Nice. You can do the same thing with a rectangle, it would seem, and just call rect. As well as a line. Lines get a little bit more in detail, it seems here. A polyline. Carrot. So they've had it a little bit easier for you to draw some things. So we have our line. Oops. Notice how there's no closing tags for these either. So I'm gonna say this is probably Y1 and R1. No, let's go back. So in the line we have a X1, a Y1, and then an X2 and a Y2. Okay. We have our line, we have our X1, our Y, our Y2, our X2, and our Y1. So you have multiple. You basically have the corner that you start in and the corner that you end in. So you have ellipse and polygons. So you can really create a whole ton of shit here. That's really what you need to get. I know I'm going through this pretty fast, but what you really need to get from this is just being aware that these things exist. And then when a time comes where you think that it may be useful, obviously you'll go and look up the documentation a little bit more. How's polygon is? Which is really what I like about SoloLearn is it has some great examples and it breaks it down pretty clearly for you. Exposes you to a lot. So you can use animate as well. So attribute name from to create an animation, definitely use indefinite. So to create animations, use animate. Path element is used to define a path. Let's go ahead and try this and see what it does. I'm not quite sure how this is different than animate. Huh. I guess it's actually drawing things out, but you're drawing it on your own thing. So this is basically you drawing something out on your own thing. This is where it gets a little complicated. Like, look at this, man. What is going on here? But you can basically create your own path. What shape is indicated by this? Oh my god. What's that? Let's see. Alright, let's go back. Let's see if we can see this. So move to line 2, horizontal line. Alright, what is the Z? Z was close path. I think it's just a line. Oops. I don't know. Let's try trying. So move to line 0, then line 100, line 100. I don't know. I generally have no idea. I don't fully understand this. So we'll just try circle. Triangle? Square. There we go. It's a square. I couldn't tell you why. And honestly, I don't fully understand what is going on there. You just gotta sit down and study it for a little bit. Let's see here. So the HTML canvas is used to draw graphics that include everything from simple lines to graphics. So so you have to use JavaScript with this as well. And you can see how a lot of this HTML stuff is kind of leaning towards using JavaScript quite a bit, which is cool, but not exactly HTML at some point if you were kind of making a distinction. It's a two-dimensional grid with the X and Y starting in the left corner. Oh, excuse me. So it starts in the upper left corner. Drawing shapes. So you can draw a shape as well, and then fill it. A lot of stuff going on here. So this goes. Let's go back here. So X, Y, W, H. Width and height right there. All right. So the X and Y coordinate followed by the width and the height. So that's 22. Oh, that's width, then height. Whoops. SVG versus Canvas. So Canvas are drawn out programmatically. It's done with pixels. Animations aren't built in. SVGs are part of the page's DOM. Oh, I didn't know that. Drawing is done with vectors. I didn't know that. Cool. What's the Canvas kind of? Nope. In Canvas, drawing is done with pixels. I believe that's correct. There we go. Canvas transformations. So a canvas element can be transformed. So you can align it, you can fill it, you can put a font to it, you can move it with translate. So you can do a whole bunch of stuff with this canvas. That's pretty cool. Rotate is used to rotate the HTML5 canvas. So you're drawing on a canvas and you can rotate it like so. A lot of these things are very complex in the, now that we're getting into it, and a lot animation based, right? And but it's cool. I'm guessing it's in degrees. Let's see here. Value must be in radians. So it's in radians. All right. Scale method scales the current drawing, takes two parameters. The number by which the image should be scaled in the X direction and Y direction. So if you want to scale it like so, you do something weird like this. So let's scale. HTML5 forms, so a lot more stuff in forms. So forms have always been kind of a pain, but you had to do them, and now it looks like they're going to be a little bit easier in HTML5. So you have a form, you have a label for the form, and then you have input. You can put ID, a name, and type is equal to text. Let's see. So we have our form type, or excuse me, input type. Then we close our form. There's also new attributes. There's something called Placeholder where it'll fill it with sample text until somebody gets there, and you can put a label for what it's for, so it's directly linked. In this case, label is for the same name here. Notice how this is different than ID. Autofocus attribute will let it so when the page loads automatically, this is autofocused already. Let's see here. Fill in the blanks, autofocus on the input. So input name. And create a placeholder, and then we want to go ahead and put autofocus as well. Forms with required fields. You can also put required in here so that it turns a little red and say, hey, mofo, fill this shit out. It doesn't actually say that. That will be in HTML6. You can see color, date, date, time, email, month, number, range, search, tell, time, URL, week. These were new added ones, new input types rather. So these will function slightly different depending on what you're putting in. You have also input attributes, form action, whole mess of things, right? Regular expressions. Ooh, that's cool. You got the pattern in here. So input type text, which by the way, this is something I will probably use later this week. Putting in an actual regular expression to work with this. Or at my workplace, I mean. Designate the username field as required and focus on the username when the page loads. So we want to username. So we want to autofocus. Is it not autofocus? So designate the username field as required. Whoop, read it backwards. So this one's required, and then this one will be focused when it loads. Forms part 2. The new search input type can be used to create a search box. So you can use this to create a search box using the type of search. So if we wanted to create a search box, we set type equals search. Pretty intuitive. And then a list of predefined data options in a search field. So kind of like a drop down, but not really, right? So you're already assigning a value here. A lot of times you may see like options that you've already searched for. That's probably being used there and just dynamically generated. So fill in the blanks, associate the input from the data list. So we have input, type is text, name is color. What is colors? ID is colors. List is equal to colors. Got it. So you have to assign the list, and the ID is color. And then you want to end the data list. Colors. Cool. Creating more fields. Some other new input types include email, URL, and telephone number. All right, cool. So the cool thing about this is it recognizes it, and when you in mobile, and when you click on like an email, it will pull up something like the email. You click on the phone number, pull up like phone number, which is really nice. Planet, I guess. And then 6 questions for not even a question for each section. Which choice is the correct HTML element for playing videos? That's video. Cool. The canvas element in HTML5 is used to draw graphics, which contains the navigation. That would be nav. Which tag, excuse me. Session storage stores data for the duration of how many sessions. I believe it is 1. So it closes when the browser's done. Which shape results from the following code? Oh my god. This is a line that goes from x1, y0 to x2. So that goes down. So this is down, and it's black. And then we have another one that starts at y1, which is 50, and then x2, which is 100. I think it's a plus sign. Wait. All right, so we're going down. I got that much. We're down and over. And then here, we're at 50. So, yeah, I think it's plus sign. There we go. Fill in the blanks to turn off autocomplete and require the password field. Whew. I don't remember what this was, but I'm guessing it's autocomplete is equal to off. And then we want our input type to be password, and then we want it to be required. Nice. So a whole mess of things that we blazed through there. A lot of the graphic stuff too, because no need to spend the time doing that until you actually are required to do that. What you really need to get away from all these sort of SoloLearn courses is what's out there when the time comes that you're going to need to use it. You need to have it kind of on the back burner saying, oh, I'm ready to dive into this. I remember this one thing I learned at SoloLearn. I can now make it a required field. I have all these things. And then you go look at the documentation in detail then. That's really what I think you guys should get from these SoloLearn courses. And that's what I get from it as well. If you pick up 1 or 2 things from here that later on you use, you just continue to become a better and better web developer. But as always, guys, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and share. And support me on patreon.com/codeintutorials360. And look forward to our weekly Behind the Code, where we talk with developers, designers, tech professionals. Comes out every Friday. Look forward to that. As always, I appreciate y'all. Have a good day, and thank you for watching. Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. If you're interested in coding bootcamp, check out devmountain.com, where housing is included in your price of tuition. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and support me on Patreon. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.